Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the second half of the regular season, or the time of the season that I dub the Chase Towards the Chase for the championship. Coming off the heels of All-Star Race Weekend, we are now getting ready to start to work out who are going to be those 16 drivers that will make it into playoff spots with an attempt to win the Season 3 Duracell Cup Series Championship. And we begin that second half of the regular season here today with the longest race of the year. This is the Coca-Cola 600 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, if our All-Star Race and our All-Star Open are anything to go by, we might be in for a bit of a wreck fest, but bear in mind the mentality of the drivers from last week to this week. Last week, there were no points on the line. There was no championship on the line. All they were racing for was either an opportunity to get into the All-Star race, or for those drivers that eventually did make it to the All-Star race, an opportunity at $1 million check. The mentality, I think, has changed coming into this race for two reasons. Number one, it's a longer race. They have to pace themselves. They have to maybe think about some pit strategy. And number two, the points are back on the line. A playoff spot is on the line if you come away with a victory here today. So I think that there's going to be a big difference in the aggressiveness that we're going to see these drivers racing with, and I think we're going to maybe see less cautions. Not saying we're not going to have any cautions, but I don't think we're going to have as many cautions as we had in the All-Star Race event. Well, back before All-Star Race Weekend, J Llamas picked up his third career win of the Duracell Cup Series and first of the season at the Fuel Motorsports Park. He lines up on the pole position for today's race. As a matter of fact, our top three is comprised of drivers that have taken at least one checkered flag this season. N Ormond, our Bristol winner, lines up second, and Dylan Young, two-time winner this season from Manassas and Pikes Peak. He's going to roll off from third, trying to become a three-time winner here in only 14 races. But there's a lot of other drivers in this field that have not won yet, and a lot of the drivers that are up here as well that haven't won, that are towards the front, are drivers that took part in the All-Star race. And even though it was a wreck fest, they got some track time, they know what this track is like, and probably set up their cars accordingly with the notes and the data they were able to get from the All-Star Race event. But without further ado, we're going to go down trackside. We're going to get those most famous words in motorsports and get ready to go racing in the Coca-Cola 600.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we might want to keep an eye here this evening on a couple of drivers in particular. First off, K Friesen won the All-Star Race event here last week, so he would be a driver we'd have to look for. As a matter of fact, if we counted non-points and points wins for K Friesen, all three of his wins have come at D-shaped mile-and-a-half tracks: Texas, Atlanta, and then, of course, last week at Charlotte. And he's not in the field. The defending Coca-Cola 600 winner, Benjamin Miles, is not in the field, but the car that he won in is the 33 of J Thibodeaux, and we're going to document him in just a moment, as there's a pretty interesting battle around the 30th position in points. So right now, your point standings are as follows. Benny Watson, the points leader, over William Brock by 16 points. Jack Mitchell, who won at Darlington, is third. Jose Mills, fourth. Zach Rogers has now dropped to fifth. Patrick Smith, Dylan Young, J Llamas, K Deaver, and Levi McIntire. Right now, that is your top 10. Four of those drivers, former winners this season: Mitchell, Rogers, Dylan Young, and K Llamas. Other drivers that are inside the top 30 that have won: Ryan Brommer, 11th, K Friesen, 13th, Nathan Hudson, 17th, J Qualls in 18th, and Charles Sanford in 30th. We'll get to the rest of the drivers in just a moment, but it's time to get the second half of the regular season underway. The Coca-Cola 600 is green. Let's roll. So Sanford, we mentioned, 30th in points. He is only 1 point ahead of 31st, which is N Ormond, who was the outside pole sitter for today's race, our Bristol winner. J Thibodeaux is right now 34th in the standings. We mentioned that he's in the ride that won here 1 year ago. And Carson Gum, Daytona 500 winner, heads into the second half of the regular season, 37th in points. So a lot of drivers looking to bounce back here today. And pretty much their goal now, they've got the win. Now they're trying to get themselves back up into the top 30 in the standings. We'll keep tabs on those drivers: Sanford, Ormond, Thibodeaux, and Gum, of course, during the course of this race. Another win, obviously, would be a step in the right direction, as we almost had a wreck back there. K Mathews looked like he almost went around off the nose of somebody. Was able to keep it going, though, and we've been able to complete one lap under green flag conditions. Look like we may complete 2. And like I said, the mentality has changed for these drivers as opposed to last week in the All-Star race. Now they realize points are back on the line, and they have to race a little bit smarter. They have to kind of rein in that aggressive nature that they have when they put on the helmet. Teammates, 1-2. Cody Llamas, Michael Norman. Michael led a good portion of the beginning race at Fuel Motorsports Park before his teammate Cody Llamas got around him. Now a little bit of deja vu, but the roles are reversed. Norman trying to take the lead from Cody. And as these two battle, you got Matthew Rodriguez back there. Now Matt Rod took part in the All-Star race, getting in through the fan vote. And of course, we've documented the long winless streak for him. Right behind him, another driver that's had a long winless streak, Keith Batson. Neither one, Matthew Rodriguez nor Keith Batson, have won since Season 1. Last win for Keith Batson was at Richmond in Season 1. Last win for Matthew Rodriguez, Arizona in Season 1. You got our Michigan winner, Nathan Hudson, right there. Now going to look to the inside for the 4th position on Batson. Levi McIntire, Johnny Gardner there as well. And one driver I'm going to be very interested to watch during the second half of this regular season is R Acosta, because if we look back to Season 1 of the Duracell Cup Series, Chris Dollerton, of course, was the champion that year, and he failed to make the playoffs back in Season 2 to defend his title. So it's almost a question of, is the same going to be said for R Acosta? Ryan comes into this second half of the regular season 19th in the standings, but only 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s in the first 13 races. It was a Martinsville win last season that got him into the playoffs. And he's up here inside the top 10, so we'll see if maybe he's chosen Charlotte as the place to lock himself back into the playoffs in an attempt to be a back-to-back Duracell Cup Series champ. Top 3 have broken away by a good margin. It's almost a full second from Matthew Rodriguez now, back to 4th place Nathan Hudson. Saw Michael Norman making a challenge on Cody Llamas, but now has to back off a little bit here. Now looks like he might be trying to charge again. Was trying to maybe size his teammate up. Now Cody Llamas, let's not forget too, that he had 2 wins last year in his rookie season, and it was back-to-back victories. I believe, if I recall correctly, one win was at Richmond. I'm trying to remember where the other one was. I think it was Pocono. I think it was Pocono and Richmond, back-to-back wins. So he's won at Fuel. If he were to win today, it'd be another back-to-back victory streak for him. But right now, he's going to fall back to 3rd. Michael Norman finally got to the inside, finally makes the pass, and Matthew Rodriguez follows him into 2nd place. Nathan Hudson, one of 4 rookie winners this season. Right now in that 4th position. He has a win this year at a speedway, Michigan, but that's a 2-mile speedway, much more spacious. Completely different configuration to Charlotte. And you got Levi McIntire there as well now in the 5th position. Levi made the playoffs last season after a win at New Hampshire, looking for his 2nd career win. And one thing that we've noticed here so far this season, Blue Oval Automotive have not been nearly as good as they have been in the past 2 years. So far, none. And I can't believe I'm saying that. None of the Blue Oval Automotive drivers have taken a checkered flag this season. McIntire, Millz, Lopez, and T Wright. And all of them were winners last season. Jack Mitchell, boy, this team has been so good here in the first half of the regular season. It looks like they're trying to continue that on here in the second half. Of course, getting his first career win at Darlington. He's 3rd in the points coming into this one. And you look back at the 2 past seasons for Jack Mitchell, Season 1 and Season 2, it's just been a struggle. It's so great to see a driver that has struggled for back-to-back years now look like he's going to be a championship contender. Jose Millz right now in the 9th position, so Blue Oval's got 2 of their cars up here inside of the top 10. Of course, Jose Millz, the most winningest driver right now in the Duracell Cup Series. And Jessica Shelton right now in the 10th position. Shelton coming into this race 36th in points, so talk about a driver that not only needs a win, but needs a good run to get back up into contention, into the top 30 in points. Right now she's trying to hold off rookie M Macklin, who's trying to put two of the KB Racing Enterprise machines up inside of the top 10. Jack Mitchell just worked his way around K Batson, and we've got some players up here towards the front now. K Llamas gets back around Michael Norman for the lead. McIntyre and Acosta move to 3rd and 4th, and Matthew Rodriguez now drops back into the 5th position. So those top 3 had gotten away, but now they've been reeled in, and we've got about 7-8 drivers up here with less than a second separating them. Michael Norman back to the bottom looking for the lead on K Llamas. And we've been able to run 13 laps, now about to complete 14 laps under green, so this could very well be much like last year's Coke 600, where it came down to fuel strategy. And it was Benjamin Miles out of Northeast Motorsports who was able to close the deal out, and that was actually, if I remember correctly, his first career Duracell Cup Series win. So could we see lightning strike twice here and see another driver get their first career win? Up here in this lead group, the closest driver that has not had a Duracell Cup Series victory would be R Macklin back in the 10th position. Got Michael Norman Motorsports 1-2 here, but it hasn't exactly been the best of seasons overall for the team, at least in the first half, despite K Llamas' win at Fuel Motorsports Park. His other two teammates have kind of been there, but they haven't been up at the front very consistently. Kolano comes into this race 12th in points. Michael Norman had a good run last time out at Fuel Motorsports Park. He's now moved up to the 20th position in points, but there was a point at the beginning of the season where Michael Norman was just struggling to keep himself in the top 30 in the standings. Well, let's go back and let's find some of those drivers we talked about that are struggling to either stay in the top 30 in points or are just outside the top 30 in points. Sanford, Ormond, Thibodeaux, and Gum, and see where those guys currently are at. And they are not up at the front. That much I know. There's Thibodeaux and Sanford and Gum actually all right there together. Thibodeaux just now getting around Charles Sanford. I believe that was for the 28th position. We'll wait till he crosses the line to be absolutely sure. 29th actually was what changed hands. Sanford now going back to the bottom. And there is Carson Gum. Right now, last time by scored in the 31st position, but I think he just lost 31st to Zach Rogers, 32nd to Carter Friesen, and he's dropping back quickly. And there is Nathan Ormond, 31st in points, our Bristol winner. He just now making his way by Carson Gum, but I think he's right now around the 33rd, 34th spot. And some of our top guys in points are back here. How about the points leader, Benny Watson, right now? Currently scored in the 37th position, but the good news is he has not lost the draft. All these drivers are up still in the lead pack. All 40 cars are still on the lead lap. We know that Mitchell and Millz are running well. Zach Rogers 5th in points. There he is, right now scored in 31st. And William Brock was not too far up ahead. I thought I saw his car. There he is. Second in the standings behind Benny Watson, right now in 17th, trying to get around Jose Millz for 16th. And with where Watson and Brock are running on the track right now, I think Brock, by the live points, would be the points leader. Let's move back up to the front of the field. Got a battle here. This is for 3rd. Ryan Acosta getting around Michael Norman. And battle for the lead. Jack Mitchell looks to the inside of K Llamas. The last 2 points paying winners, side by side for the lead. And Mitchell looks like he may take the spot down here into 3. Llamas going to try and battle back on the top side. Not quite quite be able to do it. One thing I'm noticing is I saw it happen with Michael Norman earlier, and I just saw it happen with K Llamas. On that outside line entering into turn 3, I've seen them brush that wall just the least little bit, and that's probably just with the right rear fender. But my question would be, would that cause enough damage if these drivers came to pit road that they would have to actually go and spend a little bit of extra time repairing that? I mean, especially in green flag pit stops, you want to spend as little time on pit lane as possible. I've not seen any visible damage. But sometimes it's weird with this game. You may not see the damage, but it's there, and they end up spending a little time repairing it. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think we're just seeing them rush the wall just a least little bit. There's not a whole lot of sparks that come off the car, so I think they're okay. Right now, Ryan Acosta is a Toyota and a Chevy sandwich. Mitchell out the windshield. Matthew Rodriguez in the mirror. And Matt Rod's going to duck it down to the inside before they even exit out of the front straightaway. Looking for the second spot. Driver that had a good run as well at Fuel Motorsports Park was Jesse Turner. Turner gained 4 spots in the standings after that event, moved from 33rd up into the top 30 in the standings to 29th. So this might be someone you might want to keep an eye on, especially with the fact that Jesse Turner has made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. I can't remember where he won at in Season 1 to get into the playoffs there, but I remember he won at Watkins Glen in Season 2 to make the playoffs. And there's not a whole lot of drivers here in this field that have actually made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. The only ones I can really think of besides Turner were Jordan Lopez and Jose Millz. Those are the only two, at least off the top of my head, that I can think of that have made the playoffs in back-to-back years. I'm sure there's probably a couple of others, but I at this point in time, do not remember them. So Mitchell now out in front. I believe we've had at least 3 different drivers out in front. Cody Lamas, Michael Norman, and now Jack Mitchell. And we are now past the halfway point of this race as well. So we know that this race is going to have a green flag pit stop, or at least a pit stop between now and the checkered flag. The thing that we also know is that that pit stop will be the only one they will have to make today. If they've been able to make it 26 laps on fuel, that means that they can make it the remainder of the race on whatever is put in the tank. So now it comes down to, when do you want to pit? If you know now you can make it on one stop, do you come to pit road early, short pit, get fresher tires, or do you wait as long as you possibly can? I'm trying to remember back to last year's Coke 600, and if I recall correctly, I think Benjamin Miles was one of the first drivers to pit road. Eventually went on to win the Coke 600. So we'll see if somebody adapts that strategy here, as Matthew Rodriguez going to put his Fun Dip Camaro out in front. The Con Autosport Chevrolet. So far this season, Joanna Atwood Motorsports has 2 wins, one with James Qualls at Pukekohe and one with Nathan Ormond at Bristol. And right now they got 2 contenders up here inside of the top 10. We're looking at Ryan Acosta, the defending champion, and Johnny Gardner was up there just a moment ago. He's now fading back in the 14, our winner from Dover last season. There's Trey Wright in the 28. He's just now cracked up into the top 10. 38th in points coming into this race, so another driver that is just looking to move himself up in the point standings. As we got a battle now for 6th. Ryan Acosta and Jack Mitchell fighting it out there. Looks like Mitchell will hang on to the spot for the moment. Kind of ironic here, because you've got 2 drivers that used to be teammates last season, Matthew Rodriguez and Michael Norman. Rodriguez drove a Toyota for Michael Norman Motorsports last year before deciding to create his own team, his own single car effort. And now it looked like he may have gotten the apron there in 1 and 2, slipped up the track, opened up the door, and Michael Norman was more than happy to stick his nose in there and takes the top position back. Looks like everybody may have had to check up there too, because that allowed Ryan Acosta, Nathan Hudson, and Trey Wright to join this group. Got Matt Haas back there in the 8 car waiting. This looked like McIntyre may have gotten the apron there, and we almost had a wreck up here at the front. But Matt Haas had a great run at Fuel Motorsports Park, jumped up to 5th in the point standings. Matt has never made the playoffs. He had a win last season, but that happened during the playoffs. I believe it was at Boston. So trying to get his 2nd career win, but his first playoff berth. And then you got teammates there from KB Racing Enterprises, Keith Batson, Aaron Macklin right now in 11th and 12th, and still charging up towards the front is William Brock. He's now up to 13th, and Charles Belding, along with two-time winner Dylan Young, in 14th and 15th place right now. Nice to see some of these guys that need good runs outside the top 30 in points, getting the Macklin 33rd, Matthew Rodriguez 32nd, Trey Wright 38th, and Belding 39th in the point standings coming into today's race at Charlotte. Michael Norman goes back to the race lead. Saw him make the pass on Matthew Rodriguez, but now as he looks in his rearview mirror, it's going to be a Ford, a Toyota, and a Ford. Levi McIntyre has cleared for second place. Ryan Acosta moves into third, just completing the pass on Jesse Turner. And you gotta think some of these guys back here that we haven't talked about. I'm seeing some guys outside the top 15. I see Cole Baker back there, Jessica Shelton back there. Some of these guys have not charged up to the front, but at the same time, could they be saving fuel? Patrick Smith as well, just outside of the top 15 there. If they're saving fuel, they could maybe go a little bit further, and I would think you might want to come down a pit road that doesn't have that many drivers on it, so that way you can get in and get out with your pit stop without having to traverse around other drivers that are also making their pit stop. I'm actually really surprised everybody's decided to go this long. I don't think anybody has pitted at all. Got a couple stragglers back here. Jordan Lopez right now in 39th and Marcus Saatchi in 40th. Hard to tell why they'd be so far back. Neither one of them have damage, and I don't think either one of them have been on pit road. Boy, Thibodeaux right now back here in 38th. This is not good for him. Not where he needs to be running. Same for Ormond, same for Carson Gum. Right now, 34th, 35th, and 38th are where they're running. They need to gain spots on a pit stop here or something, because apparently they do not have strong enough race cars to start working their way forward. Ryan Acosta gonna go to second. And I'm noticing these drivers here now, even more so than at the start of the race, they're going down into turns 1 and 2, and the car almost goes down with the two left sides on the apron. I almost wonder if the cars are a little bit lighter now with the fact that, you know, we've gone to this long of a run and there's not a lot of fuel in the car. Believe it or not, fuel actually weighs the car down. And with using up as much fuel as they have, 38, almost 39 laps into this run, I wonder if it might be making the car a little bit light. They go to turn the car and it floats down there to the inside. Ryan Acosta using the draft, slingshots to the inside of Michael Norman. He'll look to take the lead out of turn 4. And the defending champ, looks like he is going to get out in front. He will lead the lap by just a couple of inches over Michael Norman. And looks like he will clear going into turn 1. Look at all these names that have popped up here, though, towards the front. Charles Belding's now up here. Aaron Macklin's now up there. And you want a first-time winner? Vince Almariego has now popped up into this lead pack. Remember, he and Adam Garcia are the last two drivers that have run every single Duracell Cup Series race that have not yet gone to victory lane. Whoa, Cody Llamas had his hands full there. He almost went up into Levi McIntire in that attempt for third place. That stuck his teammate Michael Norman on the top side 3 wide. Now Norman's dropping back. Now, Ryan's only got one career win. And that was last year at Martinsville, but it was enough to get him into the playoffs. Consistency got him the championship. So we know he's good at the short tracks. See what he can do here at the 1.5 miles as we are in 10 laps to go. Be 9 laps remaining when they hit the stripe this next time by, and nobody has hit pit lane yet. Can they make it 51 laps on fuel? I wonder if I might have not set the thing to 2x. I might have had it to 1x. If I did, then that's unfortunate. Anyway, Still been a good race, though, even if we don't have it come down to pit stops. But that might have been my error. Been recording the dual at fuel races, which are 1x, and I might not have set it back to 2x. Nonetheless, though, Ryan Acosta going to try and hold on here as Levi McIntyre makes a move to the inside of Jack Mitchell for second. Cody Llamas going to try and slot there into third as these guys battle. That's going to bring Matt Haas and company back up here. But has anybody got anything for Ryan Acosta? He's been able to kind of open up some distance right now between himself and second place. But now McIntyre clears Llamas. The battle's now for third between Mitchell and Llamas. So Levi might try and use the draft to get up there to Ryan Acosta. Have something to say about this lead, potentially this win. Seven laps to go. 6.5 when they hit the back straightaway here. Ryan Acosta trying to hold them off. McIntyre second. Battle still for third between Mitchell and Llamas. Rookie Aaron Macklin starting to close in on this, make it a three-man fight. At speed of closing in, Levi McIntyre had a great 3 and 4. He's closed it up to a car length between himself and the race leader. And Llamas dive bombs turn 1 for third place on Mitchell. Cody's racing really aggressively. He's got that win in the bank. Last time out at Fuel Motorsports Park, he's trying to go for back-to-back wins for the second time in his career. Up front, though, if these guys get side by side, that's going to allow third place on back to catch back up. And they will go side by side. McIntyre ducks it at the last minute into turn 1 to the inside. Might have gotten the apron there. It slipped up the track a little bit. Still side by side for the race lead. Behind them, side by side for third. Mitchell's going to take the spot away from Llamas as Acosta brushed the wall a little bit going into 3. Levi McIntyre's trying to clear. He's not clear yet. Here comes Mitchell with a big run. Llamas will go to his inside. They're going to be side by side, 2 rows deep. Make it 3 rows deep as they're battling for 5th, Norman and Macklin. McIntyre finally clears for the top position. Battle is now on for second. Llamas clears. He'll take the spot from Acosta. Now Mitchell looks for third. Now can McIntyre hold them off? Levi's only win was at New Hampshire. A mile track, flat, lots of braking zones. Cody Llamas right behind him, and here comes Michael Norman in the 18 right now, moving by Ryan Acosta for 4th. It's going to be 2 laps to go when they hit the stripe next time by. The battle right now, the closest battle is for second place between Llamas and Mitchell. Will they work together to reel in Levi McIntyre, or will they battle amongst themselves? Norman still trying to clear Acosta for 4th. He will do so, I think, down here into turn 1. And Cody with a good run there into turns 1 and 2. He's going to look maybe on McIntyre. No, Mitchell had a better 1 and 2. He's going to duck to the inside for second. And that could have given the win over to McIntyre if Mitchell can't clear Llamas quickly. White flag will be in the air this time. 1 lap to go for the Sprite Ford Mustang. Mitchell, has he got anything for McIntyre? He'll clear Cody Llamas. Drives it deep into 1. Had to lift a little. Lost a bit of ground. He's 2 car lengths behind Levi McIntyre. I don't think he's close enough to make a charge. Blue Oval Automotive brought Levi McIntyre on board the beginning of this season. He's going to get them their first win of Season 3 as off turn 4, Levi McIntyre sees the checkered flag and wins the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Second career win, his first of the season, and Levi McIntyre, who not only with his victory last season made it into his first playoff berth, may be heading back to the playoffs with a victory in the longest race of the season. Well, I know that pit stops didn't cycle things around. I'm almost 100% certain I had pit road frequency set to 1x. And even though I would have loved to have seen how this race would have played out if we had had green flag pit stops, that was still an exciting 51 laps, and we went green all the way. After the wreckfests of the Open and the All-Star race, we did not see a single yellow flag in the Coke 600. Levi McIntyre, who came into this race 10th in the point standings, has had a very consistent start to the year, begins the second half of the regular season with a W, taking the checkers over Jack Mitchell, Cody Lamas, the last two winners so far this season. They're going to get second and third. Michael Norman brings it home in fourth, with fifth place completed by the highest finishing rookie, R Macklin. T Wright will get sixth. William Brock finishes seventh. He finishes a total of 20 positions ahead of Benny Watson, who finished 27th. So heading into next week, we're going to actually have a new points leader, and it will be the 88. Ryan Acosta brings it home in 8th, Charles Belding 9th, and Cole Baker will complete the top 10. Look on down through the remainder of the finishing results from today's race. And those two drivers down there, M Saatchi and Jordan Lopez, I'm not really sure what happened to them, but they finished way, way back. And drivers that needed good runs and did not get them here today. Talking about some of these former winners, Jacob Thibodeaux, 33rd, Carson Gum, 34th, Nathan Ormond in 37th. The only driver that kind of bounced back for a decent finish that will probably give him a little bit of a cushion over the top 30 going into next week is Charles Sanford. Came in 1 point ahead of the cut line, 30th in the standings. He finished the day out in the 15th position. But that's going to do it here today from Charlotte Motor Speedway. What a great race. A lot of passing for the race lead. Positions all the way through the field. As mentioned, green flag coast to coast from the drop of the green to the checkered flag. And yes, we didn't have pit stops come into play, but still, I will take a completely green 51-lap race with no pit stops over a wreckfest any day. Next week, though, these drivers are in for a little bit of a curveball, as we'll be going right and left at the Pensacola Road Course. That track always seems to be a fuel strategy race, and yes, that time I will remember to put the pit frequency on 2X. And one driver that's struggling in the points is the defending winner of that race, that being Daytona 500 winner this season, Carson Gum. But we hope you guys enjoyed today's race from Charlotte. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We have shown you your full finisher results, and these are what your point standings look like heading into the Pensacola Road Course next week. Levi McIntyre takes the checkered flag here today in the Coke 600. Till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.